Hey guys, my name is Carol, and today I will share a story of why I believed I have superpowers. When I was little, my mom died from cancer, so it was just me, my dad, and our dog. I don't remember my mom well, but I remember her beautiful face, even though the last time I saw her was when I was 4. But don't worry, I'm totally fine. My dad is the best. He is my dad, brother, and best friend all at once. He can be such a grandpa at times, too, especially when he says, "Don't listen to music when you walk down the street." Ugh. But I guess grandpas can make sense sometimes. When I was 15, I was walking home from school. I had my earphones in just like I always do. And then a disaster happened. A car hit me. I didn't hear the car while I was crossing the street. A fast car came from the corner and got me in a coma. I don't remember anything other than seeing my dog watching me through the window all excited. That was my last memory. I woke up 1 year later. Yeah, I missed my sweet 16. When I woke up, my short hair was so much longer, which made me ask, for how long was I sleeping? My dad then replied, "It was 1 year last Tuesday, my sweetie." His eyes were filled with tears. I cried too, mainly for missing my sweet 16. But also imagining my dad worrying about me for 1 year made me hate myself for not listening to his advice about the earphones. When doctors checked me up, they said I still have several damages and that a part of my memory will be gone forever. In addition, I needed physiotherapy because I didn't walk for a whole year. I felt so scared hearing all of that. When I finally got out of bed, I fell down. I couldn't balance myself. Doctors said it'll take a while until I'll be back to normal. I truly hoped so. A week later, they let me go home, and I saw Max, my dog, again. He started crying and smelling me. He remembered me. I felt so emotional about how I made everyone worry, so I asked my dad to give me time, so I just went to my room to cry myself to sleep. My dad woke me up a few hours later and brought me pizza to my bed. He sat next to me and started asking me questions such as, "Do you remember your mom's name? Do you remember her face? You know my full name, right?" I said, "Of course, Jack." His name is William. I made a joke and punched his shoulder with a little laugh, but then I realized I don't remember if I have friends or not. So I asked my dad, "Dad, do I have friends?" He replied, "Yes, my sweetie, many, many friends, and they are all waiting for you at school. Some even visited you in the hospital a few times." I felt so guilty that I didn't remember their names or faces. When I recovered, I went back to school, and kids everywhere knew me so well, but I didn't know any of them. I couldn't deal with that, so I went home. My dad saw me crying again, so he hugged me and told me everything will be fine and that tomorrow he will explain everything to my friends. My dad went to school with me the next day and told everyone that I have lost my memory and that it would be nice if they introduced themselves to me once again. They all stood in lines and told me how and where we met. All of these conversations made me so emotional. These people seemed like they were truly good friends, but I don't remember any of them. After I finished school, I went shopping with my friends, but I didn't have any money on me, so I asked my friends if they could wait for me to go grab money from home. When I got home, I went to the basement and took out a box with money and took a few bucks out of there. My dad saw me and said angrily, "What are you doing?" I replied, "Taking my money." He said, "How did you know it's yours?" I then thought, how do I know that really? My dad said, "Put it back," and gave me money from his wallet. But I was wondering, why? He just admitted that these are mine. I went out with my friends, and the whole day I couldn't stop thinking about it. In the evening, my dad was acting a bit weird. He didn't talk to me much. I even felt a bit scared. I felt like I had done something bad, and suddenly I heard my dad saying, "Carol, could you bring me my documents, please?" He didn't mention which ones, but I kind of figured it out. When I passed them to my dad, he grabbed my hand and said, "How did you know where they were? I never told you. Tell me everything you know." I couldn't think about anything other than that I can read minds. He thought that my uncle could have possibly told me, but I haven't seen my uncle at all ever since I woke up. I didn't call him either. I went to my room wondering. I decided to search on the internet about mind reading, but there was no proof that it could be possible, and I couldn't tell the world and just embarrass myself. So I started asking my friends to ask me about things they never told me about and see if I could guess any. And guess what? I failed. I couldn't understand. How did I know twice what my dad never told me? My dad was curious too. I started digging more and more, but I couldn't find anything. I woke up in the middle of the night to get something to eat, and on my way to the kitchen, I heard my dad talking on the phone with someone saying, "Carol knows everything. What should I do?" I stood there shocked, wondering, what can I possibly know that he doesn't want me to? What is he hiding from me? I just wanted to ask about it. But if I did, he'd just be happy that I didn't know, and that way he just won't tell me anything. So I had to keep acting like I knew, and kept on digging. But at the same time, I was very worried about what I am going to find out. I wasn't here for just a year, and there were already so many secrets. My dad and I became a bit distant after that. I thought if the truth will hurt me, it will be better to end contacts with my dad slowly rather than suddenly. I started going out with friends more, spent less and less time with my dad, and I became uninterested in his secrets anymore. And then I met this guy Mark. He was a bit older than me, old enough to own his own apartment, but still not much older. I met him at a bar and he asked me out. We started dating a week after, and I started disappearing from home for days. My dad always called me, but I ignored him. He must have still thought that I knew everything, and probably tried to apologize for his dark secrets. Mark and I really loved each other. He was even ready to move in together. I went back home to tell my dad that next month, that when I turn 18, I will move out. My dad got very disappointed and asked, "What? This soon? You won't even introduce the guy to your father first?" I said rudely that even if I did, it won't help him stopping me. So I just took my stuff and started packing my bags. I prepared myself for moving out. Anyway, I felt sick at night and threw up, and just like any girl with a boyfriend would think, I had to take a pregnancy test. And it was positive. I didn't know how to tell Mark. We had never talked about kids before. I still don't know his opinion about kids. So I just tried to reveal it to him in the cutest way to make him as less angry as I could. When he got home, I put blue and pink bows on the pregnancy test and showed it to Mark, asking him which color he likes more. And suddenly, all I was seeing was things flying around. I couldn't believe it. The lovely boyfriend turned into a monster. He was so violent that my only way out was to run away. He punched and kicked me, but the neighbors stopped him, and I got away. All I could hear was the names he was calling me. Who would have thought that our relationship could take a complete wrong turn? I got back home with a blue eye, scratches and bruises all over my body. My dad opened the door, and when he saw me, he grabbed his chest and started falling on the ground, needing help myself. I started crying and screaming for help like crazy. 2 ambulances took both of us separately, and when we arrived at the hospital, they started treating us right away. We both were in different emergency rooms. I wished that every moment since I found out I'm pregnant wasn't real. The doctor said that the baby is fine and that my wrist was cracked a bit, but everything else was fine. I couldn't wait to see my dad, so I just went to him without asking. The doctors said my dad is very sick and that he has been sick for the past year, and that this time it's really bad. I couldn't believe what I heard. I felt so bad that I couldn't stop crying. I called my uncle and waited for him to fly back home because he was our only family. Police came to question me about what had happened, so I told them everything. Mark was arrested, and I stayed the night with my dad. He woke up in the middle of the night and said that he forgives me. He thought I knew about his illness, and that's why I left him. What should I do now? I tried to explain to my dad that I didn't know, and that I tried to get the truth by acting like I know. But it seemed like he couldn't hear me anymore. My uncle arrived in the morning, and I felt so angry because he didn't tell me. And that's when my uncle decided to finally tell me everything. He said that when the doctors told my dad that I won't wake up for a long time, and possibly never, he got a heart attack, and since then, his heart became weaker and weaker, and that he saved money for me for the future. He also told me that I must have heard my dad calling my uncle when I was in a coma, which is why I knew things he never directly told me about. He knew he would die soon, so he prepared money for me for my future. And I was so selfish using it for shopping. I hurt and ignored him. He didn't want me to feel guilty that he got sick because of my irresponsibility, so he kept it a secret and planned to take care of his health secretly and live our life happily ever after. But my childish personality got him dying. I will never forgive myself for doing what I did. And I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to tell him how sorry I am, and that he's a grandpa. Right now, he is in a very bad situation that no one knows how it will end. What do you think of my story? Please share your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel.